We are all aware that Elon Musk is working on a vehicle that could revolutionize space travel. The Starship, as it will be known, will be a fully reusable transport system, capable of taking up to 100 people to Mars. Musk's private spaceflight business, SpaceX, was founded with the goal of making life multi-planetary. This is prompted in part by existential risks, such as massive asteroid attacks that would wipe out humanity. In this video, we are talking about SpaceX Starships. If you are new to our channel, we warmly welcome you. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to never miss an update. First, let's take a look at the spaceship. The stainless steel spacecraft recalls the rocket ships of science fiction's golden age. 6 highly efficient Raptor engines, developed over a decade by SpaceX, are located at the back of the 50-meter, 160-foot long craft. The combustion occurs in phases, and the engine's design reduces the quantity of propellant waste. The propellant tanks are located around the center of the vehicle. These provide the Raptors with liquid methane, CH4, and liquid oxygen, O2. The fuel is methane, and the oxygen works as an oxidizer, a chemical that causes the fuel to burn. Methalox is the name given to this combo. Although methane is an unusual fuel for rocket engines, it may produce a significant amount of thrust. It's also a wise choice in light of Musk's Mars plans. The SpaceX creator claims that using a chemical process known as Sabatier reaction, CH4 could be synthesized from Martian subterranean water and atmospheric carbon dioxide. Refueling the Starship with Martian resources for a return voyage to Earth would impact a measure of self-sufficiency, making journeys both more practical and cost-effective. A massive payload compartment towards the front of the spacecraft, which is commonly referred to as the upper stage, will be capable of transporting significant cargo or passengers to destinations in deep space. Now, let's get onto the rocket. Super Heavy will be 70 meters, 230 feet long, and packed with 3,400 tons of cryogenic Methalox. It will be powered by around 32 Raptor engines and will have a maximum thrust of more than 70 meganewtons. That's 16 million pounds. It should be capable of delivering at least 100 tons of payload to low Earth orbit, and maybe up to 150 tons. Super Heavy will be more powerful than the massive Saturn V launcher utilized for the first Apollo moon landings in the 1960s and 1970s. The integrated Starship system will begin to tip over towards the intended orbit as it ascends from the launch pad. When the upper stage separates in space, Super Heavy spins over and returns to Earth. Super Heavy will extend steel structures dubbed grid fins from the sides of the rocket as it descends, like potato waffles. These will assist in guiding the rocket stage back to its launch pad so that it can be flown once again. After a launch, SpaceX accomplishes something similar with the initial stages of its Falcon 9 rockets, landing them securely on landing pads and drone ships. However, SpaceX's thinking was recently shifted. The falling booster will now be caught by an arm on the launch tower. This is the structure that allows engineers and crew members access to the spacecraft and rocket while they're on the launch pad. Meanwhile, after separation, the Starship upper stage might be placed in a parking orbit, allowing it to be refilled with propellant. If you fly to orbit and don't do any refilling, it's quite good. You'll get 150 tons to low Earth orbit and have no fuel to go anywhere else, Musk revealed during a keynote lecture at a conference in 2017. The two ships would actually mate at the stern. They'd utilize the same mating interface they'd use to link the rocket during liftoff, Musk stated this in 2017. It becomes quite straightforward to transfer propellant. You utilize control thrusters to accelerate in the direction you want to empty. Now, what is the main purpose of all of this? Musk is planning to build roughly 40 cabins in the payload area, near the front of the upper stage for long-haul voyages to Mars and back, which might take up to 9 months each way. If you really want to cram people in, you could have 5 or 6 people per cabin, but I believe we can expect 2 or 3 per cabin, for a total of about 100 people per flight to Mars. The payload bay would also include communal rooms, storage space, a galley, and a shelter where people may assemble to protect themselves from solar storms, which occur when the sun spews hazardous charged particles into space. The Starship will also contribute to NASA's Artemis mission, which aims to create a long-term human presence on the moon. The version designed for Artemis flights would lack the heat shield and flaps required for a return trip to Earth. Instead, after its initial launch from Earth, the Starship human landing system would linger in space and be used for repeated voyages between lunar orbit and the moon's surface. The uncrewed or cargo version of the spaceship has a payload bay that opens like a crocodile mouth. This would allow it to be utilized for satellite launches. According to SpaceX, the massive payload capacity opens the door to new types of robotic science missions. Musk claims that Starship will one day transport people to destinations in the greater solar system, including gas giants like Jupiter. However, this is a long-term goal. Now, the biggest question. How will they be brought back to Earth? Engineers have used parachutes or constructed the vehicle such that it can land on a runway to return other spacecraft to Earth. The upper stage of the Starship, on the other hand, adopts a different strategy. When the ship is ready to land, it re-enters the atmosphere at a 60-degree angle before belly flopping to the ground in a horizontal position. The vehicle's descent is slowed totally by the environment in this mode of return. The disadvantage is that Starship is inherently unstable in this setup. To regulate its descent, the vehicle has 4 steel landing flaps located near the front and rear of the vehicle. This is similar to how skydivers utilize their arms and legs to control their free fall. It's unlike anything else I've ever seen. We're going to do a controlled fall. Elon Musk stated this in a Starship update. Starship should be slow enough as it approaches the ground to execute an engine burn that flips the vehicle into a vertical orientation. The Raptors are then used as retro rockets to guide the vehicle down to a safe landing. Musk claims that this general approach may be used to safely land Starship on any planetary surface in the solar system. After much evaluation, when will it fly? SpaceX has tested multiple upper stage designs at its Starbase site in Boca Chica, Texas, during the previous 5 years. The firm began in 2019 with a 39-meter-tall test piece called Starhopper, which resembled a water tower in appearance, and flew it 150 meters above the ground. However, SN8 approached the landing pad too quickly and forcefully, causing it to crumble and explode. 3 additional test items detonated before Starship SN15 successfully landed in May 2021. SpaceX intends to fly Starship on Super Heavy sometime in 2021 for its maiden orbital test flight. Even if the SpaceX founder's timeframes have been optimistic at times, he has built a reputation for eventually reaching his goals, no matter how lofty. So that was our info-packed video on SpaceX Starship. We hope you liked this. That was it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We send good wishes your way.